Good morning, people. How are we doing out there? How are we doing? Give me a couple seconds here. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Sleepy, says Lexus. Sleepy. People, you guys ready to wake up at 7? Well, school's going to start at 7:20 in the morning, right? So I don't know when you're going to wake up, but it is official, people. It is official. The return to school is, 2 weeks away? Albeit 1 day a week for you guys, 2 days a week for teachers, but we are going back to school officially. So yeah, get ready for that 7:20 start time again. Can you believe it? Yeah. What's going on, people? How are we doing out there on a fine Tuesday? For some reason I'm thinking it's Wednesday, but it's Tuesday. Oh man, tough. The scenes. All right, people, let's get to some announcements. Well, first here, let me drop the attendance in the chat in there so we can kind of get two things done at once. It says, what problem or situation did TV/movies make you think would be common, but when you grew up you found out it wasn't? Kind of a tough one. What problem or situation did you think the TVs and movies make you think would be common, but in actuality, as you guys are getting older, right, you found out it actually is not a real problem. Let's see what you guys come up with on that. But anyway, like I was saying, make sure you turn your town hall meeting assignment in, right? Did you do that? It is due tonight. I forgot I did extend it. It is due tonight, so if you need extra time, we should have some time in Google Meet today. Make sure you get that done. That's a big assignment, and it shows me that you understand the types of taxes and tax structures and all that, right? So make sure you take the time and turn that assignment. Remember, that's summative points. That is summative points. The important assignments, right? Okay, so today what we're going to talk about is unemployment. We talked about GDP yesterday. Now, we didn't get all the way through GDP. My plan is, if we don't get everything done in time, we'll just kind of do that on the back end. We'll do it on Thursday. Because I don't want to do, a quarter GDP and then kind of segue into unemployment and not have enough time to get through unemployment. So you don't have enough time to do unemployment practice. I kind of want to stay on schedule a little bit. All right, so we're going to do unemployment today, which is pretty fun to talk about. That was some of what you guys mentioned yesterday, right? What is how do you know the economy's bad? A lot of you guys said unemployment. Right, look at the amount of people that are trying to find work that can't find work. Look at that rate, and that'll give us a good indication on economic health. Right, so that's what we're going to learn about today. And we're going to learn about there's different types of unemployment. Not all unemployment's bad. Some unemployment's fine. It's healthy. And then we'll do that little unemployment practice at the end. And then tomorrow will be inflation. Now tomorrow we'll watch a little video instead. That video will be about 15 or so minutes. Probably the longest video I've shown virtually, but it's a good one. I want to take the time to watch that. So we'll probably watch it on Google Meet just because the audio will be better and I won't get copyright in trouble. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it, people. And then business cycle, then we'll learn how to fix the economy, and then it'll be the final exam, and it'll be the return to school, which is pretty crazy. All right, let's get to some of your responses, people. All right. Kieran says jellyfish. Jellyfish are not that big of a deal. It's fine. I don't know, I'm actually pretty scared of jellyfish, I'm not gonna lie. Like, jellyfish freak me out. When I'm in the ocean, I'm afraid of jellyfish and other things that are just sitting on, like, on the ocean floor that I could, like, step on, like sea urchins and stuff like that. Freaks me out. I'm not really so much afraid of sharks and stuff like that. Well, I kind of am, but yeah. Jellyfish, scary. That Kung Fu gang members ran towns. I don't know what that means, Erwin, but hopefully your peers do. Tickets are cheap. Oh, like, if you get pulled over? I don't know, I once had to pay like $160 for not using a turn signal. I don't know about cheap. Parking tickets are kind of through the roof too sometimes. Paid like $150 for a parking ticket at Michigan State once. Flying people destroying more of a city than they needed to just make it more dramatic. That I can't fly. What are you guys talking about right now? High school bullies. In every high school movie there's a bully. Yeah, I feel that, Anthony. Now, bowling is a little bit different nowadays, right? It's a lot more like online, right? Like cyberbullying, right? That's probably, you know, how you get bullied nowadays, right? You know, people, you know, creating beef online, right? But yeah, there's not like bullies, you know, holding a kid up against the locker room, like, you know, taking their lunch money. It's kind of not really a thing. I mean, maybe it happens, but not as much as movies would portray, right? Evil guys, people that are just evil, superheroes. I thought the internet was worse than it is. I'm drawing a blank. You're right, Anthony, there's barely any, and if you get caught, you get called out. That's good. Hey, people, that's good. That means grab blank. That's a very good anti-bullying policy. That's what I'm talking about. Shark attacks. Yeah, very, very low probability of a shark attack. Aliens. Dude, what are you guys talking about? I was thinking more of like, what would be a good one? What would I think of here? What would I think of one here? What is something that the movie portrays a lot, but like when you get older, it's not that big of a deal? I think like paying bills, right? Like TV shows and stuff like make it look like paying bills is like a huge hassle and like it's a lot of work and like there's paper everywhere on your desk. But in actuality, it's just all automatic and I never ever pay a bill. It just like happens. I never pay bills. Like I pay them, but I don't do it. You know. What else? What else? I think like just like American high schools in general, right? American high schools in movies look a lot different than they really look like in real life, right? Jaws was such a dumb movie. Jaws was actually, the unintended consequences of Jaws was actually a lot. I believe sharks got like slayed, right? Like sharks got like murdered off in great numbers as a result of Jaws, right? Because it created a huge fear of sharks that was there, but not to that magnitude. So yeah. Yeah. All right, people. Anything else? No. I thought you were gonna kind of go in a different way with that. We'll see. Anything else, people? All right. Let's get to it, people. Let's get to it. Oh, it's early, people. And you're saying you're tired. Mr. Moore's feeling pretty tired today. I'm not gonna lie. All right, people. So yesterday we talked about GDP, right? We said GDP basically is the value, right? It's measured in dollars, the value of all final goods and services produced domestically in a given year. And if we add all that up, right, it's going to give us a number. And if we cut that by the population, what we can, assume is that the average person produces that much stuff of value, right? GDP per capita, that's what that means. And if the average person produces, let's say, $50,000 worth of value of goods and services in this country, we can assume that generally average incomes are going to be around $50,000. And again, if you have high average incomes, you probably can, assume that country has a generally a high standard of living, right? Now, we did talk about it is not perfect, right? GDP measures a lot of things that are harmful, right? The Kennedy speech that we watched. So, again, in terms of these macro measures, we don't have a whole lot to measure economic health. So GDP is a good one, but it's not perfect. Nor is unemployment going to be perfect. We'll talk about some criticisms with unemployment. Inflation is not going to be perfect. We'll talk about some criticisms with the way in which we calculate the inflation rate. But it's really all we have in terms of measuring economic health and being like, all right, is this economy good or bad in the current moment in time? What's it like to live, in that country? All right. Alrighty, people. So let's do unemployment. Unemployment is probably a little bit easier to understand, right? You guys know what it means to be unemployed, I think, right? Now, to be unemployed doesn't mean you're simply not working, right? That is not the case, right? To be unemployed, you have to be actively trying to find a job, actively trying to work, but you can't find a job. You can't find work. That's what it means to be unemployed. So, if you're like 22 years old and you're chilling out in your mom's basement, right? And you're not actively sending out resumes. You're not actively trying to find work. You're not technically unemployed, and the government's not going to count you as unemployed. All right. That's what a discouraged worker is. A discouraged worker is one that tried to find a job, couldn't find a job, so they've given up looking for a job. So therefore, they're not technically unemployed, but they really are though, because they're not employed, but they're not technically unemployed. So generally, our unemployment rate is going to be understated because in reality, we have discouraged workers, people that tried to find a job, couldn't find a job, gave up, and they're not counted as unemployed, but really they're not working, right? They are in some sense unemployed, but not technically, right? So just always remember our unemployment rate, if it's 3%, and actually it's probably a little bit higher, it's probably more like 4 to 5%. Our unemployment rate is always going to be understated a little bit, okay? So the unemployment rate is that percent, that rate of people in the labor force, those that are working or, I did that yesterday, those that are working or trying to find work, that's what the labor force is, right? So the amount of people that are trying to find a job divided by the amount of people that are trying to find a job, plus those that have a job. That's the unemployment rate. It's not just, who is not working in this country over the population of the United States. It is not, right? We've talked about the labor force when we talked about human capital, right? We said, people that are not in the labor force are those that are under 16, those that are not able and willing to work. Those that are in prison are not in the labor force. Those that are in the military are not in the labor force. And those that are students full-time or somebody that's retired, right? Those people are not in the labor force. So we're not counting all Americans. We're not even counting all adult Americans, right? We're counting those that are either working or trying to find work, and they're over 16. They're not in school, they're not in the military, not in prison, not retired, right? And they have the ability to work, right? Those are the people we're counting in the labor force. So the unemployment rate is the amount of people that are unemployed divided by that labor force, okay? Also remember, people, do not forget, right? Make sure you guys are continuing to, fill in this macro school thing, right? This is going to be a lot of points, and generally, right, you're just copying down the notes, right? And then you just got to do a little practice, right? So like here, it's one page, follow along with these notes. So how is the unemployment rate calculated, right? The amount of people that are trying to find a job divided by employed plus unemployed, the labor force, or you can just write the labor force, right? What does it mean to be unemployed, to be actively seeking work and can't find work? I already said this one too. Why is the unemployment rate typically understated? It does not account for discouraged workers, right? Because again, if you look for a job and you give up looking for a job, you're not technically unemployed, okay? And then we'll get to the types. But yeah, make sure you guys are filling this in, all right? Anyway, so yeah, that is the unemployment rate. The amount of people that are actively trying to find work that can't find work divided by the labor force. And the labor force, the easiest way to calculate the labor force is those that are unemployed plus those that are employed. Because if you're in the labor force, right, you're either working or you meet this criteria and you're unemployed, right? You're trying to find work and you can't find work. So the unemployment rate is going to be those that are actively trying to find work that can't find work over the amount that are unemployed plus employed. So it says, why is a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad not technically unemployed? Can anybody answer that? Why is a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad not technically unemployed? They're not really unemployed. Why is that? why are they not actually unemployed? They're adults, right? They're not working. Why are they not unemployed though? Why are they not unemployed? Not an actual job. Well, so yeah, they're not employed either. But why they're not employed? Why are they still not unemployed technically? What are they not doing exactly, Alexis? They're not actively seeking work, right? They're not actively looking for a job. Not right. There you go, Michael. Not searching for a job, right? So, and again, to be unemployed, always remember, if someone's not actively sending out resumes, right, in the last 3 months, I think it's 3 months. It could be 3 weeks, but I think it's 3 months. If you're not actively searching for a job in the last 3 months, you're not technically unemployed, right? Just remember that, okay? Because the unemployment rate's thrown around a lot. And oh, the unemployment rate's low, like the economy's doing great. Again, but we're not counting for people that are discouraged, right? We're not also, the labor force is very narrow as well, right? So again, the unemployment rate generally is going to be a little bit understated. So here we go, right? Here's just, a little practice, right? So it's based on the information in the table above. What is the unemployment rate for country X, right? Well, we're going to take the number of unemployed, which would be 6 million, right, divided by the labor force. And what is the labor force? The labor force is those that are employed and those that are unemployed, right? So it would be 94 plus 6. So 6 divided by 100 would be 6%, right? Labor force is those that are working and those that are trying to find work. Right? Okay, there you go. All right, cool. All right, so 3 types of unemployment. So what we're going to learn about now is that not all unemployment is bad. As a matter of fact, most of you guys, all of you guys really, are going to be unemployed at some point in your life. And the reason for which you're unemployed is not bad, right? It's going to happen. It's going to be natural, all right? So what we need to do is we need to figure out the 3 different types of unemployment. And then from there, identify which of those 3 types of unemployment is healthy. And then when we get that actual unemployment rate, you hear on the news and sorts, we need to make sure we subtract that unemployment rate by the healthy, natural types of unemployment, all right? So again, that's why we're learning about this, right? What are the different types? Why are not all types of unemployment bad? And then when we subtract that actual unemployment rate by something called the natural rate of unemployment. All right, so the first type of unemployment is going to happen to all of you guys. It definitely happened to me. It's called frictional unemployment. So to be frictionally unemployed simply means you're between jobs. You're simply between jobs, right? Like you quit a job because you didn't like it, and now you're, sending out resumes and you're actively trying to find work for a new job, right? Does that reflect poor economic health? No, it does not, right? It does not reflect a poor economy if you just didn't like your job and you want to find a new job. It takes time to find a job, right? Again, most of you guys, or all of you guys, right? When you graduate high school or when you graduate college, right, you're going to be frictionally unemployed. Again, does it reflect an unhealthy economy? No, right? It takes time to send out resumes, to find an open position, and for some sort of firm, employer to find your skills and interview you and hire you, right? It takes time. When you're entering the labor force for the first time, you're going to be frictionally unemployed. Most of us are going to find a job and not like it, right? And then we're just going to apply for another job. Again, none of that reflects, poor economic health, right? So again, frictional unemployment, friction, right, just simply means you're between jobs. You're qualified, you have the skills necessary, but you're just simply searching for a job, right? That is it. All right, so, again, high school or college grads are going to be looking for a job, right? I graduated college in, I want to say, like April. It took me a good month to find a job as like a summer camp for like little whippersnappers, right? Like little like 2nd to 4th graders, like a daycare sort of thing. I did that for a couple months, and then I found my first teaching job. Kind of late, a little bit like in September at Grand Blanc High School. So again, does that mean the economy was bad? It actually was bad at the time. The economy was really bad at the time. There was a huge labor surplus. In other words, right? Like when I applied for the job at Grand Blanc High School, I think there was like 310 other teachers that applied for the same job. I don't know how they chose me, but they did. So the economy was in a poor spot. But I was frictionally unemployed. I was just simply searching for jobs. And, there was no bad unemployment, which we'll talk about here in a second. Okay? And then, yeah, if you quit your job, or even if you get fired, but you have the skills, but you got fired for whatever reason, right? You still can be frictionally unemployed, right? Say you did something bad at a restaurant, right, and you got fired, but you still are a good waiter or waitress, right? You're still frictionally unemployed. Okay, a subcategory within frictional unemployment is called seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment means you're unemployed due to a season, right? So like a lifeguard that works a lot in the summertime, right, might be unemployed in the wintertime because there's no lakes or beaches to lifeguard right now. Probably lifeguards work indoors, right, at indoor pools and the sorts. But like that's the idea of seasonal unemployment, right? Maybe you do landscaping, and in the wintertime you're unemployed, right? Again, does that reflect poor economic health? No, it's just it's tough to landscape when there's snow outside. So generally, people that work seasonal jobs work other seasonal jobs, right? Like generally, if you landscape, you probably plow snow in the wintertime. If you lifeguard, you probably do like ski patrol in the wintertime. Okay, so that's the idea of seasonal employment. Again, so is this bad? Is this bad unemployment? No, it's going to happen no matter what. Unless we live in a command economy, right, where the government, from birth, right, tells you your job, right, like right when you come out of the womb, they're like, hey, this person's going to be a plumber, right, and then once they're 16, they're going to be a plumber, right? Yeah, then in that case, in that economy, in that society, right, there's not going to be frictional unemployment. But here, right, we have free will to elect what jobs we want to do, and since that's the case, right, you're always going to have some sort of time between of being unemployed, right, trying to find a job and not being able to find a job. So that's what frictional unemployment is. Again, it's not bad. It's healthy unemployment. It's going to happen no matter what, no matter the state of the economy, whether the economy is good or bad. Frictional unemployment will remain. It'll be the same. Okay. The second type of unemployment is fascinating, and we're going to do a little challenge along with this. But this one again is natural. This one again is healthy. It's going to happen no matter what. And this is called structural unemployment. Structural unemployment is when workers, humans, are replaced by automation. That's the idea of structural unemployment. You no longer have the skills necessary because your job is no longer in demand. In other words, the firm has decided to hire automation, a robot, because they can do it cheaper and maybe more efficiently and maybe they're more productive than a human is. Right? And this is happening more and more in recent years, and definitely is going to happen more and more in the future. Absolutely, right? Retail work is going to become very, very difficult to find because of structural unemployment, right? Again, I should try to find there's a really cool, hey, give me a second here. Let me see if I can find this video real quick. I want to show you guys it. I just had an idea. Here's music. One second. I can't see what I'm typing now. Where is it? I want to show you the average amount of time a human touches your Amazon package from the second you order it to the second it goes to your door. It's very, very small, but it's a cool video. I just gotta find it. Ah, here it is. I found it, people. We got it. Amazon might be bought out. That sounds impossible. Bought out by who?
But we believe more.
No way.
More. That's.
All right, one second. Let me wait for this ad to end.
Cash out with payouts delivered straight to your bank account in as little as 24 hours. You want more? You got it. FanDuel Sportsbook and Casino is coming to Michigan. Right now, get $100
All right, so watch
in
the structural
credit
unemployment
just
here,
for signing
people.
up.
Watch the structural unemployment here. Hopefully it gets a little more clear. So there we go, right? So just this picture right here, I can't stop it, right? This is picture right here, right? How many? Do you see a lot of humans? No, right? I see 4 people. I see 4 people. There's not a lot going on here, right? A lot of automation has obviously replaced jobs. You know, shipping, you know, packages was obviously at one point all human contact. Look at these robots. No need for humans. Think about all the jobs that were lost, right? Because, you know, automation can do it better. It can do it cheaper and can do it more efficiently. You know, do these robots make mistakes? Probably, but probably less than humans do. So, this is what Amazon looks like, and probably what most retail is going to look like in the near future. It's good for COVID, I guess, right? There's no humans, you know, close to one another. It's all robots, and sometimes there's humans, but they're pretty far away from one another. So there you go. We got like, you know, 3 seconds of human contact there. Your order travels through roughly 8 miles of conveyor belts. The computer even tells the employee what box to put it in to be max efficient and how much tape to use. So again, it's like 5 seconds more of human contact, right? Just putting the label on there and touching the box. And there it goes, right? So it says each package gets under a minute of human contact. A minute of human contact. All right, then obviously it gets, you know, thrown on a plane or, you know, like a truck, right? And then, you know, the UPS guy or whatever like touches it for like 2 seconds, right? So like not a lot of time. That's the idea of structural unemployment, right? When automation replaces workers, right? So people are unemployed because automation can do it more cheaply. You know, think about like the person that used to be like a VHS repairman, right? Think about the person that used to be like a milkman, right? Think about all the workers that used to work at Radio Shack or Blockbuster, right? Those people do not have jobs any longer because they've been replaced by automation. I got some other funny videos too, but maybe we'll save it for the back end, right? And then more specifically, technological unemployment is exactly when you're unemployed because of technology alone. Creative destruction is just a vocab word again. That's when your job's gone forever. It's like the milkman, like it's gone forever. Like we don't need that anymore. We just go to the grocery store and like get our milk, right? We don't need a VHS repair person, right? Like we don't even use DVDs anymore, right? We just stream it online. So that's the idea of structural unemployment. So my challenge for you is, I want you guys to find structural unemployment in the real world. Now obviously there's COVID, and I don't want you guys going out unless you have to go out. But if you are out, you know, working or, you know, for whatever reason, and you can find structural unemployment, if you take a picture of it and show me and then identify what is the structural unemployment occurring, I will give you extra credit points. And even extra credit points if you put it on Twitter. If you at my teacher Twitter, moregb2015, I'll do that, right? So I'll show you that here in a second. But yeah, here's structural unemployment, right? Self-checkout lines. Structural unemployment, right? These are pictures I actually took, but this was like probably 10, 11 o'clock at night, and there was only 2 checkout lines open. There was 1 worker working, and I asked her, I said, hey, how many people are usually working at this time? Because she's like, why are you taking a picture, right? And she said 4 people used to be working during the shift. Now there's just 1 because they just got those brand new self-checkout machines. That's probably years ago, probably about 5-6 years ago. Yeah, Family Video, right? Family Video is structural unemployment. You know, little kiosk, right? And you know, at restaurants, right? At McDonald's, right? This is definitely going to replace workers. We're not going to need, you know, as many people up front here that people would just, you know, go to here. But what's funny is there's a high school kid, right, cleaning the coffee machine, and these people wanted to do it off the kiosk rather than just going through them. And they took so long because they couldn't figure out how to get free water off the kiosk. And they even asked a manager to help them. Pretty wild. And yeah, Redbox, right? We know that replaces Family Video and things like that. And now Redbox, right? If you're working for Redbox, even though there's probably not a lot of workers that work for Redbox, I'm sure no one uses Redbox anymore. No one uses Redbox anymore, right? You just stream it. Everything just streams, right? So here is other ones that I actually put on my Twitter one. That's my teacher Twitter account. So if you at that, and you hashtag structural unemployment and you find a picture and write and talk about it, that's going to give you the big time extra credit points. But yeah, here's the movie theater. I go to the movie theater in Brighton generally, yeah, like it's just I actually used to work at this movie theater, and yeah, now you don't have to go to the box office anymore. You just go up here and find the movie and it prints off your ticket. All right. I was watching ESPN one morning and they were talking about, or actually I think it was the afternoon, it's PTI. But like tennis, right? Robots are going to replace the line judges because again, if they can make less mistakes than people, and you don't have to pay them as much, obviously, that's where they're going to go, right? I think a lot of referees in most sports are at some point just going to become automated. There's not going to be human referees checking if there's pass interference, right? They just know. There's not going to be human referees that identify it's a ball or a strike. They'll know, right? So here's student examples. And this is what I want you guys to do. This is what will get you that big time extra credit points if you want it. Security cameras. Security cameras replace security guards. And I already talked about it, maybe in this class, maybe not, but when I last went into school, they installed an insane number of security cameras. We have security cameras everywhere in the high school. More security than the Capitol building. Yeah, you're probably going to see less red shirts. You're probably going to see less red shirts because we have so much more security cameras, at least at West Campus. Horrible choice of words here, a knocker-upper, but this was a job back in the day where, before alarm clocks, before we had our, cell phone where, it woke you up in the morning, right? Before we even had, like, old school alarm clocks, right? Someone would basically have a little, book, and if, to get their service right, you would pay to get their service and be like, hey, I need to be woken up at 7:15. So you'd go to your place where you reside and knock on your window and boom, right? That's the service that was being provided and you'd pay for it. Now obviously that person doesn't work anymore because we have alarm clocks. Okay. Nice. Krispy Kreme, right? And, do you see any workers? No. At some point I would imagine donuts were all made by hand, or at least with tools, but workers using tools. Molly Polino, an insane artist. Go to the airport, right? Just tons of self-check-in machines, right? They definitely replace workers. Security badges replace workers, right? You don't need someone checking your credentials. A machine does it for you. Online apps have replaced, those that work in the newspaper industry or deliver newspapers. This one's a cool one. This is kind of like the knocker-upper one. The lamplighters, right? Lamplighters, right? Before it's all automated, right? People would literally have to climb up and light the lamps to get lighting at night. Pin setting machines taking over, workers, probably like high school, workers, right? That would be your job in high school is you'd set the pins at a bowling alley, right? Now, obviously, we don't need that anymore. This person's just, popping shots at me, but, hey, I'm on that YouTube game now. Look at this, right? This is a long time ago, but yeah, he said I was going to get replaced by teachers teaching online. Look at me now. Traffic lights have replaced traffic directors, right? Now, we have lights, right? This one's pretty funny. Robot surgeons are even replacing surgeons and doctors. It sounds really scary and insane, but if you think about it, right? If a heart surgeon has, maybe 1% error, and a robot has no error, maybe like 0.0025%, and you don't have to pay them, right? Hospitals will probably move towards automation. Now, unlikely, but really everyone could be at some point subject to some level of structural unemployment. Who needs old bartenders when a robot can serve your drink for you? I don't think it's, I think the point of going to get beverages is talking to people, but, there's just like bars that, that the drink does it all for you and there's not even a bartender. Any sort of kiosk, vending machine, it's going to replace automation. We don't need phone books anymore. Anyone who was producing phone books back in the day, now it's just all online. A little kiosk is going to replace waiters and waitresses. Again, more like ATM, replace bank tellers. This one's pretty funny. We had jesters back in the day, right? There used to be a job, right? Make people laugh. You get hired and you go to parties and you're supposed to be, the comedic relief for most people. Right now, you can just turn on Dave Chappelle and you're good, right? Obviously record stores are gone, right? Because we just stream music online. Trash trucks that only use one driver instead of two, right? When I was a child, there was always a person on the back. They would get off the truck, load your trash into the the vehicle, and that was it. Right now, at least the trash company that goes through my neighborhood, right? They have like a little machine thing on it, right? So there's one less worker used. It's pretty crazy. Librarians, right, aren't really used as much anymore, right? Because now there's just computers that generally help you find where you need to find your book, right? Human mail sorters. That's what my dad did for a living. He worked in the post office and he sorted mail. Now it's all done electronically. There used to be mice catchers back in the day, right? Again, probably unskilled labor. Now they just use cats. I don't know if they really do, but and then Tesla is in the makes of making automated semi trucks, right? That's obviously going to cause a lot of structural unemployment for semi truck drivers. So yeah, you got to keep in mind structural unemployment, people, because right now you're trying to figure out what you want to do in life. Make sure that job can't get replaced by automation. Okay. And again, really all jobs are subject to being replaced by automation, but if your human capital is strong, you should be fine. Okay, the last unemployment that we're going to talk about is cyclical unemployment. This is the only unemployment that really is bad. This is the only unemployment that really reflects poor economic health. Now, again, structural unemployment is healthy, right? If jobs are being replaced by automation and technology, it probably means it's a decent country to live in, right? Because if you're producing that kind of level of technology, you probably have high average incomes and the sorts. But again, it probably means you're a developed nation, right? And technology generally makes our life easier for the most part, and generally lowers prices for goods. It's a good thing. Now, again, as structural unemployment happens to the extent where we have massive unemployment, right? And a lot of people aren't working, which a lot of economists suggest. You guys know what UBI is? Universal Basic Income. It's basically just the idea that everyone at a minimum is going to get paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, right? Like a wage floor. Because a lot of economists suggest that at some point or another, our technology is going to get so insane that there's going to be massive levels of structural unemployment. Now, we're not there yet. So right now, I would say that structural unemployment, just like frictional, is healthy. It's natural. It's going to happen no matter what. It doesn't really reflect poor economic health. But this one does. Cyclical unemployment does, right? Cyclical unemployment is unemployment caused by a recession. It's unemployment caused by an economic downturn. It's unemployment maybe caused by COVID, right? And usually it happens because of demand-deficient unemployment. Demand-deficient unemployment basically means that demand is deficient, right? There's not enough demand. Not enough people are buying goods, right? If people stop buying goods, businesses get less revenue. If businesses get less revenue, they have to cut costs in order to maintain profits. And when they cut costs, that probably is going to mean they're going to lay off workers. So now you have more workers unemployed. If more workers are unemployed, they have less incomes. If they have less incomes, they're going to buy less goods. And if they buy less goods, there's going to be less revenue for firms. Firms are going to lay off even more workers. You have more unemployed, more lack of spending, right? That's the idea of cyclical unemployment, right? A vicious cycle downwards. And it really starts because people generally stop buying goods, and obviously that happened when COVID happened, right? People couldn't, didn't go out to restaurants and things of the sort, right? Like people stopped spending money, and that's what caused, massive levels of unemployment. So yeah, any unemployment for an economic downturn. This is the idea that a business can't hire you because they can't afford you, right? You have the skills necessary, but they can't afford you because they can't hire you, or they lay you off, right? You're unemployed because the business could not hire you. That's the idea of cyclical unemployment. My father-in-law worked for Ford for a long time, his entire life. Now I think he's like 60, but he just got unemployed by Ford because they could not afford to hire him or keep him employed, and that was caused by the steel tariffs with China from the latest administration, right? So that's why he is unemployed. Is because he made too much and the steel prices went up, so the increase in the cost of production, Ford could not afford to keep him employed, which is pretty crazy. He obviously had an insane amount of human capital. He obviously had it was tough to replace him, but again, if they can do it cheaper, they're going to move in that route. So that's the idea of cyclical unemployment. Is businesses fire you or cannot hire you because they can't afford to do so. Okay, so cyclical unemployment is what is actually bad. All right, so that leads us to our last point, and then we'll jump into Google Meet. It says the natural rate of unemployment. So what we need to identify is the natural rate of unemployment. What is going to be the natural amount of unemployment that's going to happen in our country, whether the economy is good or whether the economy is bad. It says many people assume that our goal is 0% unemployment, but it's not. Why? Because we just learned that we can't have 0% unemployment. That is insane to suggest or have a goal of having 0% unemployment, because we're always going to have some level of frictional unemployment. We're always going to have some level of structural unemployment. There's always going to be people between jobs or entering the labor force for the first time. There's always going to be people losing jobs due to automation and technology. So what we need to do is account for those two types of unemployment. And that's what's going to compose our net rate of unemployment. Net rate of unemployment is going to be equal to frictional and structural unemployment. The amount of people that are unemployed due to, healthy reasons. Okay, so can you see where I'm going with this? Right, so in our country, our net rate of unemployment is 5%. It says between 4 to 6% because it fluctuates sometimes based on different things like unemployment compensation, different laws and the sorts. But generally, throughout time, the U.S. natural rate of unemployment is 5%. So what that means is those that are actively seeking work that can't find work, about 5% of those people are unemployed due to healthy reasons, due to simply between jobs, entering the labor force for the first time, or being replaced by automation. So whatever our unemployment rate is, you need to always subtract that by 5%. Do not forget, right? So if our unemployment rate is, say, 8%, right? So again, let me write this down real quick. Let me show you something real quick, right? If our unemployment rate is, if our actual unemployment rate, I'm going to write like our actual unemployment rate is 8%. Our unemployment rate is frictional, structural, and cyclical, right? It accounts for all three of those unemployment rates, right? So how do we know if our unemployment rate, when it's 8%, how much of that unemployment rate is cyclical unemployment, right? Again, you subtract that by the net rate of unemployment, because the net rate of unemployment is equal to frictional plus structural, because these are healthy unemployments that are going to happen no matter what. So if we remove this from the equation, frictional and structural, in other words, we subtract 5% from that, right, we can identify the cyclical unemployment rate. The cyclical unemployment rate is 3%. So we know that if the unemployment rate is 8%, in actuality, that means 3% of people are trying to find a job that can't find a job because of an economic downturn. Okay? What's up, Connor? All right, so that's the importance of the net rate of unemployment. That's why you guys just learned what we just learned about, right? What unemployment's good, healthy, and what unemployment's bad, right? So whatever the unemployment rate is, what you hear in the news, subtract it by 5% to identify this cyclical unemployment rate. Okay? And then also have in the back of your mind, though, also that unemployment rate is generally understated. Okay? All right, people. I think we'll probably just end right there. I think we'll just end right there. There's other things we want to do, but I don't want to talk forever. All right, people. I will see you guys in Google Meet to do the unemployment practice and to have a little bit more time on your town hall assignment. Okay? All right, people. I'll see you in a bit.